Hey guys, we've got a brand new show, Bull, on CBS, but we've got the after show for you right now here on AFTERBUZZ TV.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey guys, welcome to Bull, our after show here on AFTERBUZZ TV. Brand new season. We've got the Richie Rich theme song going.
It's beautiful.
We're like, okay, what theme song can we play? Yeah. And we felt like, all right, well, this episode, it was apropos.
Yeah, cartoonish. It's fine. This goes perfectly with it. You could say.
We had no idea. But yeah, we're excited to start up this new show. Fantastic pilot. We both agree, so we're super excited to talk about it today. I am joined by the lovely Nadine Della. You tell us where they can find you on social media.
Hey guys, like he said, Nadine Della here. You can find me everywhere at Nadine DP and the number 3, because that's my lucky number.
I like that.
I'm feeling lucky with this show tonight.
I'm 2'5". So I'm Kevin Ellis. You can find me on Twitter at @TheKevinEllis or on Instagram at KevinEllis25.
Wow.
I know.
Incorporating numbers everywhere. Oh, February 5th.
Were you born on the 3rd?
July 3rd, yeah. We're easy. You want to hack my phone? You got it, guys.
God. It's too easy.
So we're horrible. We should be better at that. We're millennials. We need to be better at this.
We are. See, I was silly. As a kid, I had like 007. I was 007 everything.
Oh,
so.
Yeah. James Bond to the T.
And then that just becomes cliche as you get older.
No, you know. No one's doing it anymore, so you're fine.
Yeah, you're right.
We're good, guys.
Yeah, we're settled. So Bull, an awesome new show. This episode entitled "The Necklace," as we found out at the end of the show, the significance of that. But yeah, what did you think? Just overall thoughts. Yeah. What did you get a feeling for Dr. Bull, Dr. Jason Bull's character?
Dr. Bull, I like him. I think that whenever you can have a lead character that thinks outside the box, not like everyone else would, someone who's annoying to most people, but you can see inside his mind by us watching him.
Yes.
I think he's a genius. I think he's brilliant, socially awkward, but great.
I think what was great about this episode, and I'm sure what is to come, and how they shot the pilot, is that you see the inner thoughts of all of the jurors, and you know exactly what is going through his head, how he analyzes, what his intuition is like. And I thought that was a great element to this pilot, and something I haven't seen in a long time, at least in broadcast TV. I think it was just a cool way of going about this what I feel like is a very solid television type of show, being a law show.
Yeah.
And a courtroom drama, you always have the same formula, and this one, it was a little off kilter, and I liked that.
Yeah, and they're adding, it's kind of like dramedy, I guess, as the new age, what they call it. And going back to him, I think what kind of attracts me to him is he's not your typical nerdy type guy that would have all these formulas and understand how it works, but his personality is just blah. He has this very A-type personality with that, incredible, intelligent side to him, which I think it helps make people believe in him more.
I like that.
We'll see. But I think he may fail eventually, so that'll be interesting to see how he copes with that as well.
And how soon in the season are we going to see that?
Yeah.
And what his demons are, as one of our main jurors, Bess, at the end insinuated, she can see that there's a lot of pain in his path.
Yeah.
So as the season goes on, I'm sure we'll find out what that pain actually is. Yeah. The cool thing about Dr. Bull, if you guys do not know, it is actually based on Dr. Phil McGraw, his life story as a juror back in Texas, or a juror analyst back in Texas. So
incredible. I mean, can we really see Dr. Phil though, with all those monitors and analytics popping up everywhere? I mean, technology wasn't that advanced, but I get the point.
They've made it a little bit more contemporary and entertaining for us.
Just a tad, just a tweak.
just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, it's so cool. So he is actually an executive producer on the show, co-creator with I'm forgetting the end of it. I have it written down here. Paul Antanasio.
There you go. I can't pronounce last name. Antanasio.
Antanasio.
There you go.
Or Atanasio.
Atanasio.
Beautiful. But yeah, so co-creator and also Steven Spielberg and Amblin is co-producing.
I
So
love that's a strong behind the scenes, mafia in a sense. That's putting this together. I'd call that a TV mafia.
I like that.
Yeah, a little TV mafia.
TV mafia.
All for the good mafia reasons.
God, could you imagine if Steven Spielberg knew that we were associating him with the mafia right
Yeah,
now?
yeah. TV mafia.
TV mafia.
The TV mafia. Yeah.
He's in control.
Not the Italian.
No. So, all right. So, total. As we just go over those general thoughts, the cool thing about just this show is it really delves into the psychology of not only just the jurors, but everybody on the show. He is in everybody's head, including the defense team. I mean, he's even deciding whether or not these people that are technically on his side are fit to be the defense for our main individual in this episode, who is Brandon Peters, who's a kid who grew up with a yuppie lifestyle. He is the son of billionaire Pete Peters. And he is accused and convicted. He's accused, charged with killing Alyssa Young. So she's this young Asian girl who was found on the beach.
Yeah.
What was your thought at the beginning of this episode, though? Because we were thrown a couple of images where we saw a bunch of individuals who all had their opinions of our justice system. And they then ended with one guy saying the rich get away with everything. Cut into the episode, we find out that Brandon here is now charged with murder. I mean, what did you think about that, and do you think we're going to see that as episodes continue?
Well, I thought it was very interesting, the fact that, obviously, as we all know, we watch the show, that he does get away with it in a sense, even though he was proven innocent. But it's kind of a prelude to him actually being free. It's a prelude to the entire episode as well. I was curious as whether or not those intro statements, yes, that really probably does make up a majority of what the population is thinking these days. We see everything happening in the news and stuff. But I was confused on whether or not Bull had conducted those interviews and Bull had used those as analytics, or those were just random stuff that he saw and then was able to attach to, this case itself.
Right.
So I don't know about that.
I was thinking that it was at that point in time just one of those throwaways, just this is exactly what you said. The population's general perception of what our justice system is and societal. Just as we saw a couple of racial implications in there, which we're seeing even in our current day. I guess there was another unarmed black man who was shot by police. So these themes are probably going to be brought into the fray as the season goes along, and we're going to see a lot of contemporary issues that the show will address.
It was relevant and was timely, of course, and them starting off with it kind of being a more techie type show, I kind of liked, kind of introduced us to that, because immediately we go into Alyssa's murder, and all of a sudden you just see her dead body, and then you see all her social media popping up.
Exactly.
So I kind of did like, if that's how they're going to do the entire show, using a lot of social media, using a lot of technology, they're going to start the pilot off with just bam, 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 all these videos, all modern day stuff, I guess.
And the great thing, in my opinion, is that it brings attention to millennials into viewing the show. Oh, these writers are actually in tune to what we pay attention to outside of watching television. We are on Instagram. This is a part of our society now. And it drives a lot of our behavior. As we saw brought up in the case, photographs that he had taken on his phone were a problem, and it brought to Bull's attention that, okay, this kid has something more going on because he chronicles his social life in his phone.
Yeah.
So without that knowledge, it's a different world.
Isn't that crazy, though, that we think, I feel like, or a lot of our generation thinks that what we post online means nothing, that what we do, we're not really connected, but you can really see a behavioral pattern. You can make sense to stuff that you have posted years ago or 30,000 snaps ago can be found and discovered. Nothing is ever, if you take a photo on your phone right now, then that's it. If someone can always find that photo.
Exactly.
Anything you do, even though if you didn't send it to the cloud, even if you've deleted it right away, no, kids. Take this as a lesson.
Even with Snapchat, people should know that, okay, Snapchat is an independent company who more than likely has some cache of photographs that is just being stored. It doesn't just go out to that one individual that you're sending. And more than likely it's stored in some sort of way.
Yeah, and all those terms and conditions that we just all click yes and okay to and swipe, we don't read all of it.
Yep.
There's something that says in there, hey, we have your photo for X amount of time and it's stored here or blah, blah, blah on this server, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
It terrifies me.
It is.
But I still use it.
No, here we are. We still use these things.
But they're the good reasons, okay? We're the
Exactly.
PSA to tell kids not to do the bad things that they do every day.
Exactly. So you kids just
Stop it.
play it PG, okay?
Stop it right now, everyone.
So with that, I know you and I talked a little bit earlier, but we did not get a feel for a ton of characters apart from Jason Bull, who are part of his crew. Though Marissa was introduced at the beginning. She is the blonde woman who was heading the mirror jury that was explained to us. So I guess if you didn't catch it, Bull and his team set up a mirror jury that, in essence, is the exact same jury as is going to be in the real trial room. 94% accuracy on all traits, so they can follow each juror, how they are thinking throughout the trial process. I mean, it's crazy.
Who's their casting producer for that?
Seriously.
Like, and how long does that take? Because I've done casting for like shows, itself developing shows, like real or just TV shows, but not for a juror. And I already know how difficult that is to find a 94% accuracy across the board. Man, someone is talented that's working for him. I just gotta say that.
What is his fee, too?
What
is he charging?
Why? Because I need to get into that field, okay?
I mean, there aren't that many billionaires in this world. So, I mean, how many billionaires who are going to have a crime of this nature to where you need to get hired?
Exactly. No, I'm very curious to know what their fee is. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and you're right. We only really saw into him a little bit, and we caught a lot of that with Bess at the end of what he's struggling with. Probably Bess is a very interesting woman. She has a sixth sense. It's very interesting.
Those revelations at the end, I thought were, I don't know, I felt it was a little cliche.
It was.
I did not think that we needed to go there.
But it's also network television, and things have to be cliche for a little button on top of everything. That's just, but it's okay. We know it's coming, and we love it, and it's fine.
Yes.
But I think, like we had talked about earlier, I think it was just a pilot episode, so you can't really get all those layers really built in, but they eventually will, and I feel like we'll see the family and how dysfunctional the family may be as well, that everyone that works in that office is who I'm considering the family.
Yeah.
And it starts with the head guy, so we just saw a little bit of him, and we'll see everyone else later.
What did you think about them in this episode, or at least the writers, using a billionaire and his son as the main characters in this trial? Because as I was at least starting out the episode, I'm thinking, okay, am I really going to care about Bull's, I guess, what he's doing as a job if only these rich people can afford to buy his services and get him to come out and do his thing? I mean, if that's going to be the entire series, I mean, are we going to be endeared to his character as much as we would, somebody else who is fighting for the little guy?
I agree with you. In the beginning I did. But now looking back at it, it's not that he's using this technology to kind of get someone who has money off because they did it. He was actually able, and we saw at the end with the mother of, what's
Taylor.
Taylor's mother, that basically Taylor's mother is the one who committed the murder, that we saw that Bull actually kind of found out who the real killer was. So he actually had justice was had because of him. So in the beginning, I thought, yeah, okay, he's just working for the rich, rich get off with everything, just how the intro was. But at the end of the day, no, he put an innocent guy, let him go, and, was able to put someone who was guilty in bars. So.
Agreed. And as much as I think that Bull and his team relies on technology, a lot of it comes down to intuition and what he is thinking, what his team senses, and him just being a stand-up guy, him taking in Liberty, who was the, I guess, co-consul for Brandon and Clyde's counterpart. He takes her in, notices that, okay, people are paying attention to the fact that Clyde puts down Liberty. He's letting her carry her books up the steps, doesn't care to help her. I know.
That always like touches like my heart whenever I see those assistants or anyone just kidding. It's like, how can you do that?
I know. There's a little bit of humanity is necessary, and people pay attention to that, especially the average, I would think the average American, as we saw in this jury pool.
Yeah, of course. And it's all, I mean, there's not much in a courtroom to look at. And you're probably bored most of the time. So you're really doing some good people watching. All that time sitting in the park looking around at people. It's all there right in front of you in a small little room when you're bored for hours. So these jurors are seeing everything. It's very true.
So to get back to just what happened during the episode, so Bull, he's meeting with his defense team, or Brandon's defense team, introducing them to the technology, and they say to Clyde that we have tried with this jury pool 18 times this case based simply on the facts, and it failed.
Yeah.
So it just shows the skills and what Bull is doing. It works. But with that said, Clyde as an individual, I like who they brought on in this first episode. He says to Bull after that meeting, after he's convinced Pete Peters to bring Bull and his team on, he says, "You are a con man, you con Peters, but you couldn't con me."
Yeah.
And then he lifts his watch off of him, which it turns out was brilliant. But I mean, what did you sense from that interaction? Did you think that Bull is just, he is one of those guys who had a tougher upbringing in reality, and he had to hustle his way?
I mean, he must have been, because I can't, no matter, how many degrees I have, can swipe a watch off of someone by giving them a hug.
Right.
So even though he's this brilliant guy with an amazing mind, he's a psychiatrist, I don't think that someone trained him in school to be able to do that. That's something you learn from the streets somehow, for whatever reason you're needing to pickpocket. That interaction was, I just thought that Bull, I guess now we have to realize that maybe everything he does is for a reason. I thought that hug was just him being, I don't know, just a grade A,
grade A class.
Grade A
individual.
class kind of guy who just doesn't care and all that stuff. But to see that it was for a reason, and everything he does is for a reason. But I love his sarcasm as well.
That's brilliant.
My only question is why we talked about how they tried the test juror 18 times. Why'd they stop at 18? I was just curious about the number. It's like, normally we did 10 times or, something, an odd number to see.
Right.
18, so I guess you got to try something 18 times.
That's
just what sticks with me. I don't know why.
I'm trying to process this too. Did they go with 18 different panels, or was this just the same?
I don't know.
This can't be the same people that were brought the same facts.
We need more specifics. Yeah, I think it must have been 18 different. But then to find
18 different panels who also fill in that 94 percentile. Come on.
No, I don't think so. I think because the people that we saw in the beginning, they didn't know who the juror was at that time. The actual juror was.
Okay.
Remember when they first came in? So much as 18 randos.
18 randoms.
Every single time.
God, even if you're paying an extra, think about an
least
extra
50
rate
bucks.
in this city, in LA, like an extra rate, you're paying what, $10 an hour?
Yeah, and in New York it's even jacked up, so we're getting double that.
There's 16 jurors? Jesus.
Yeah,
Think about the money.
So much money.
And they haven't even been hired yet.
Nope.
Well, and so as they're selecting the jury, Bull had convinced Clyde to come up with a question. What was this?
It was the cold.
Yeah, why do you catch a cold? Why do you catch a cold? I missed something.
Yeah.
Why was that the question, or was that explained?
It was basically to see people who are empathetic towards. So it's basically the way that they kind of described it was people that have more empathy towards people who, in the way that they get colds, the way that they catch colds, you can sense a more empathetic reasoning in what they say, and that just kind of shows that Brendan never had somehow he tied it to Brendan not having a stable father figure in his life who never cared about him and wasn't empathetic towards him, and they could tie that question into who would care about Brendan.
And at that point in time, this just reminded me, he did in that moment decipher and find out that Bess was the one of the group who was most likely to take control of the jury.
Yeah.
Because of her answer. She was no nonsense, didn't want to listen to Clyde. It was like, why are you asking me that question? Move on to the next one. But Bull kept her on because he knew full well through his intuition that this is going to be the person that I need to get
her. Yeah, and it's I don't know, he has some type of sixth sense in a way to be able to, I don't know, feel people's energy, and I believe in that too. You can sense it, but So I don't know. It's just I'm very the skeptical too, in a sense of I don't want to see him crash, but I kind of want to see how long this can kind of go for. I mean, of course, the first episode we're gonna have him win, but yeah, like we were saying, how long is it gonna take, and what's gonna happen when he loses, and why? And then is his credibility gone? Like, if the system fails once, how can you ever believe it again?
Right. And is it going to be his background that like comes back to bite him? Because clearly, as we pointed out, he's got a past. He's got something that he's hiding in the closet. But he himself, what was cool about this is, in my opinion, he was, it's like we're getting an element of like psychology, but just street sense.
Yeah.
So, and I'm assuming he is a bred psychologist. I'm assuming he went to school for that just because of how he's analyzing people.
They call him doctor, so he has his doctorate.
Right. It would be cool to find out whether or not he, made his way through, like, through the military or something like that, to where he was, because I know I've seen, magic shows where you actually have individuals who are, who have the mind, just the expression reading. I guess I'm really articulating this poorly, but you can just find little ticks in a person's personality and what that actually truly means on the inside. Yeah. So I'm curious to know if he actually has that kind of training.
Possibly. I mean, he has to have something. He has some type of skill that not the average person does. And I don't know. We'll see how it leads him through the rest of the season, I guess. I don't know. In a sense.
It'll be cool to see. Danny. So Danny is somebody that we did get a little flavor for, played by Jamie Lee Kirshner. She, when going through the file on Alyssa, found out that this individual had a connection who she had remembered from her days in narcotics. So it was a drug dealer that she knew, found him on the street, roughs him up a little bit, but then they sit down to lunch.
Yeah, right? And I just, because I saw that, I was very curious how that interaction was going to go. And she just shows, I look like this young little girl that can't do much, and bam, right up against the wall, neck, and then smacks him and goes in and eats.
I was like, okay, let's get some
fun relationships. Yeah. Well, she's a girl, not to mess with, so at least we saw that in her character trait.
We did. Is it pho or pho? The Vietnamese dish.
Pho.
It's pho.
Pho.
But I think this is what's confusing me. Is I have a Vietnamese friend, and I think she pronounces it pho.
Oh, well, I just know that there's a 9021 pho out in Beverly Hills, and I think that they would do it that way for that reason. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I've never.
Maybe I'm terribly wrong.
I've never eaten there.
One of us is wrong right now.
Yeah,
it's probably me.
Yeah, we'll go with you. That sounds better for me.
I'm gonna.
You take it, bud. You take it. Good.
I like it up in the first place.
I like this. It's easy. I wish I could. Every argument, every disagreement could end with me winning. This is awesome.
Hey, I have to give you credit when credit is due, and Thanks. I have to throw myself under the bus.
Make
when
my
necessary.
dreams come true. I appreciate it.
Anytime. So anyway, we learned that she was in fact a drug dealer. She's dealing out Molly. But did we even think that this was going to be a character?
But it was fake Molly. It wasn't even real Molly. I caught that it was
fake Molly?
I don't know. So it's like
okay, so now
I don't know what fake Molly is, but they said fake Molly, and I wrote it down right here. Alyssa moving fake Molly. So
okay, well I trust your notes because I just wrote down Molly.
I listen to detail. Okay.
No. But if she's moving synthetic Molly, now she's actually being more of a threat to our public.
Yeah.
Because synthetic Molly, you got more of a likelihood to actually OD on that in the wrong way.
Yeah, because you don't know what's in it.
Not that I have any knowledge of synthetic Molly. I'm just
from
saying,
television.
Just from our news. It's out there.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, I've never done that. So, anyway. Where was I going with this afterward?
So the fake Molly, Alyssa, Danny.
Alyssa's mom takes the stand after that.
Yeah.
And Clyde, in kind of a dickish way, says to her mom, "You didn't really know your daughter very much, did you?" And it throws the jury pool off entirely. This is one of those scenes where Bull is getting a lot of interaction, at least mentally, through these jurors. And he's seeing that, okay, Clyde is not the answer.
You don't yell at the victim's mother or talk. Like, come on.
But a lot of weird things happened in that scene. I mean, Alyssa's mom was revealing that Alyssa, or at least Brandon, wanted anal sex with Alyssa, which we never came back to that.
No.
Though we can only assume that
it was because he was gay.
Because he was gay. Though it was almost a throwaway. So
also just TMI between mom and daughter. I love
that same thing too.
I love my mama, but I mean I'm not going to go into to those details, but I guess I don't know.
And is this even realistic? You've got a girl who is pushing around fake Molly.
Yeah.
She is on a yacht with,
Millionaire.
with a billionaire's son. Mm-hmm. Is she really going to be that open with her mother about whether or not she's going to be taking part in anal sex?
I don't know, but she even talked about it, though. That's the weird part, is why even talk about it.
Yeah.
Why even be like, hey, Mom, this guy I'm dating wants to, do something naughty down there that I don't want to do. So, I don't know. Anyway, to each his own.
Anyway, yeah. Everybody has their own relationship with their parents.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, I'm honest with my parents, but that is, that's an odd one.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll leave it at that.
Good on you.
So, I'm going through. So we get to the stylist, who Bull brings in all parties. He knows that it is important to have some sort of visual, relationship with the jury, to where you are in a place where you trust the guy who's on the stand. Mm-hmm. And in this instance, he's got Chunk, and Chunk is a boss. I like that character.
He was a Vogue wardrobe stylist at one point.
That was mentioned.
Yeah.
And he said, Bull points out that everything that you wear is code. So he's trying to make a more presentable version of Brandon. He's got his, almost like I don't want to say gothic look, because it wasn't gothic. It was just a little bit more.
Justin Bieber back in 2012.
That's good.
Done.
Jet black hair, though.
Yeah.
That's it.
The only difference.
So Bull sits down with Brandon at this stage, and it was an important scene because Bull is trying to loosen up Brandon a little bit. He's joking with him. He's like, "No, you can call me boss," but he's explaining to him that 93% of all communication is nonverbal. So whether or not he takes the stand, he has to have some sort of presentability just sitting there. Mm-hmm. Which what do you make of that? Knowing that seriously, 93% of all communication is nonverbal. And as we see in this instance, you have Bull analyzing the jury pool, seeing what their nonverbal reactions are. I think that that's the cool thing about the show, is it teaches us things that we don't really always take into consideration.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. Have you ever watched any of these crazy trials that they've played all throughout CNN? Like, why am I forgetting every single, like the Jodi Arias case, or the
even last night we had the oh god, now it's
now you have to think of the name.
JonBenet Ramsey.
JonBenet Ramsey, and if you ever watch those cases and you're looking in on what's happening at the proceeding, you're just staring at the person that's being accused,
right? And
you're looking at them, and I'm looking at myself, and I've realized I have judged them, being like, oh, she had to have done it. I mean, look at her face right now. Like, why would you sit there so stoic like that?
I'm with you.
And I've thought that. So if I'm thinking that, the jurors in that room are 1,000 times more able to perceive these things.
Exactly.
So
even through, I know you watched Making a Murderer as well.
Making a Murderer, yeah.
And the fact that Stephen Avery didn't want to go on the stand, to me as an individual, even though like what I saw, at least through the documentary's point of view, I saw what the facts were through that vehicle, but it was still, to me, something, why are you not going on the stand? I feel like that's something that almost does not support your innocence.
Yeah, like you're afraid you're going to incriminate yourself more? You're afraid that you're going to like not be able to continue with your lie? Is the truth going to come out?
I'm with you.
Look at us.
So at that stage, knowing that Brandon was taking that perspective, were you thinking that Brandon was guilty at that point in time?
This is just because I look at television shows in different ways than I think an average viewer would, because I'm like, he couldn't have done it. You're not going to introduce us in the beginning of the show to the person that actually did it, because that never happens. You need a storyline. What's the story?
True.
It's done. So no, and that maybe that's because we're in TV production and we understand that. But that's just how every show works. Let's just be honest with it. So no, I didn't think for that specific reason. But his attitude and looking at him, just seeing his personality, not based off of what I perceive when I come into it. No, I don't think that he didn't seem like a murderer to me, to be honest with you. He just seemed like a rich snob.
Right.
And that was about it.
A kid who didn't really grow up knowing who he was as an individual.
But I did get fooled. I really did think it was Taylor.
You did think it was Taylor?
I did. So they did fool me in that sense, where I thought it was Taylor, thought Taylor was jealous after seeing all those photos in her bedroom on the walls of
so bizarre.
I don't have that. I'm just kidding.
Thanks for letting us. I would certainly hope not. Having you as a co-host for the next, I don't know how many weeks.
Yeah,
13
your
weeks?
face is not on my wall.
God. Could you, I mean, seriously, the second that we saw
Yeah.
that, I mean, wallpaper on the wall of their I mean, they were just friends. This isn't even like boyfriend-girlfriend thing. They are just like good friends.
Yeah.
Since childhood, but come on.
I mean, I think now looking at, because a lot when you're younger or in high school, even the way you decorate your room and stuff, your mother has, as a woman, as a girl, you and your mom, you talk back and forth what your wall decor should be, how we're going to go shopping. I know that's what my mom and I did. So her mom, I believe, probably had a huge influence on and making sure that that wallpaper was up of the two of them and really wanting her to be happy and just immersed in him. So I think that's creepy for one.
Yeah.
But I think that's what happened.
I mean, you knew something was off with a mother right from the get-go when you're sitting down around the dining room table, and when Bull reveals to her that, okay, these photos were taken of your daughter by Brandon, she says, as long as it was Brandon. Who says that of their underage daughter?
I don't know. I think this mother-daughter relationship in this entire episode is just a little too much.
We are in left field, folks.
Yeah, Mama don't need to see my PDA with my boyfriend. I'm sorry.
Oh, God. I mean, not to mention, like, oh, we'll get to the ending.
Yeah.
But, so when she's asked about the photos, when Brandon is asked about the photos with Chunk,
Yeah.
he said that they weren't sexual. So this was a big reveal for Chunk. Being presumably a gay man, we can all come to that conclusion. He was very forthright with Bull when he was up to him and he says, Brandon had this reaction, and Michael Weatherly knew immediately that, okay, he's gay. Brings on in Brandon. They have a nice sit down. It was a cool scene. We actually saw a lot more of a down to earth feel from Jason Bull. Mm-hmm. And he was, so throughout that scene, he really hit home the fact that Brandon has, at this point in time, never been able to be himself. He's always been a shadow of his father. His father has never been able to tell him that he loves him. So Bull was able to manipulate the scenario into where, okay, he can finally, and it's not even really manipulation, but truly he's just trying to make Brandon realize that in order to save yourself, in order to save your life, you have to embrace who you are as a person, which I think was a great message.
Yeah, it was very deep. You have to be true to who you are. The truth, in a sense, will set you free in that way, the truth about who you are as a person, and that's the only thing that can relieve you. And I thought it was interesting. It just kind of showed how we look at Bull kind of as a lawyer, but he's not a lawyer. But the fact he had to hire in a lawyer to come and sit with them while they were chatting, just so it could all be considered lawyer-client privilege.
Right.
I thought that was very interesting because we see this, he's in the courtroom, he's doing all this analytics, and you just assume that he's a lawyer, but he's not at the end of the day. He can't go up, he can't go defend his client fully, he just is the stats guy.
This is true. And that was a good pickup, too.
Yeah.
Though I did skip one interesting scene, and that was Taylor on the stand, which was just a crazy scene. So she reveals, again, millennials, technology. It's revealed in her text message history that she had said to Brandon at one point in time regarding Melissa that the bitch must die.
The bitch must die.
So that doesn't look good if you're a juror.
You know what I feel bad for? Whoever the tech person that had to go through all the messages between Brandon and Taylor. I have a headache thinking about what these teenagers were chatting about for however long of time, and then to actually find that. So I mean, good on them. They probably didn't sleep. But yeah, like we said, nothing's deleted, nothing's ever gone. It's all there. So yeah,
always.
But this is just a PSA for people not to do stuff on their. When did we turn into mom and dad? We're not that old, guys. We're definitely just mom and dad here talking about proper ways to use your cell phone, kids. Turn your cloud off.
And whatever you do not throw an iPad at your hopeful boyfriend's attorney.
Yeah,
which she does.
Yeah,
and it really makes Bess is looking at her like, okay, this girl's guilty right here and there.
Well, it shows anger management. It shows you can't control your temper. Yeah. But like we were saying, I literally went down to write a note really quick about what Taylor was saying, and I look up and there's just blood on the lawyer. And I pulled off my headphones. I'm like, wait, what happened? What happened? He goes, she threw the iPad. Like, she threw the iPad. I was like, what? So quick. Craziness.
It was.
I missed a great moment.
It was.
I can just imagine it.
And then not but 20 seconds later, which I think was just a weird, and then we didn't come back to it, but Alyssa's father had shot Pete Peters.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point in time, I did not feel like there was enough guilt on Pete to be shot by Alyssa's dad. It didn't really make sense to me, especially after that testimony by Taylor. It's showing a little bit more guilt towards her, but I might have missed something.
I think it was cliche and random. Ooh, and yeah, I'm really upset as well.
Clearly.
I thought it was cliche and random for them to even put that part in
I
there.
did too.
At all. I mean, I understand you want to get Pete into a vulnerable state where he'll chat with you and maybe give you more information. So injuring him may be a way to do that. But I think it really meant nothing. They didn't really even show what happened to Alyssa's father, if he got arrested or if they chatted with him why you did this. It was just a way to get Pete in the hospital, which I think is strange, but I don't know. I didn't really like it.
Something else could have happened. I mean, business could have brought him to somewhere. He could have gotten in a car accident. Who knows what the hell could have happened? But I thought, again, that was cliche.
Shot on the court steps,
Yeah, Godfather style. It just did not quite ring well with me. Yeah. But so, as we said, Bull had to sit down with Brandon, and I mean, did you? What is my note here? I don't know what I wrote there. Anyway.
Yeah, it was a note.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But did you think overall, I mean, was Bull tapping into something like, I guess I'm not having a clear thought there, so I'm just going to skip on over to Liberty being entrusted with the fact that she, with the whole case at the end, Bull saw something in her that he knew Clyde was not able to deliver to the jury pool.
Yeah, I loved it, and my heart always melts. They always do this. I always put like a nerdy second assistant that you're just rooting for, who's worked their whole way, either a guy or girl, up through law school, and then gets paired with a horrible boss, and you just root for them so much, and her glasses and her poofy hair, and rating them. Oh, I just love her.
Right from the get-go, too.
She's everything.
I know. He was watching her. He was even giving her like a little smirk at the beginning, knowing and trusting the fact that he wanted Clyde and only her, out of the 5 attorneys that he had brought, he wanted her to stay. Because he knew right off the bat, this is somebody he could trust.
I think that was such a brilliant call on his part to get, to get the empathetic vote, because Clyde, like we said at the end of the day, he's getting iPads thrown in his face. Like, he's just no bueno.
Even though he's got a fake Rolex from Barack Obama on his list.
But fake? Why would Barack give him a fake one?
I know.
It's because Barack didn't give it. He engraved Barack on there. That'd be funny. I should do that. Yeah, Obama gave me this watch. Look, it says Barack on it.
That is actually... Now let's go to the psychology of that. To go on over to an engraver and have engraved on there that Barack Obama gave you this.
You just say it's for a joke. It's just a joke. It's a gag gift for someone else.
That would have to be the only way.
Yeah, because how could someone actually take you seriously to do that?
In good conscience.
But also, it's underneath so no one really sees it unless you're perfect. Oh, you want to?
Excuse me. Would you like to see my Barack Obama watch right here?
You see, Marc Jacobs gave me this.
Kenneth Cole gave me this.
Yeah, it was Marc Jacobs. So Marc Jacobs gave me Mark.
In memoriam.
Yeah.
Kenneth Cole.
Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. It's just showing Bull. But in that scene though, where he had to make that little wiser mark, that was just Bull being Bull in a sense.
Oh,
and
God, yeah.
I love him for that. I think it's great.
He's a cool character. I think that was a good career move from Michael Weatherly in general, leaving NCIS, taking on his own vehicle. He gets to star in it, and I think it's got, as we mentioned, it's got good EP support. CBS clearly, has a good feeling about this, bringing on in such what I assume is like it's big auspices when you have somebody like Steven Spielberg and Amblin Entertainment coming on. So.
Oh, it's a lot of players in it, and I mean I think that's why this show's going to be very successful. I mean we're already hooked on it.
Oh yeah.
And what are your thoughts on it not being a continual storyline, but that it's like more like the Law and Order type different case every time?
I'm very pleased about it.
Pleased?
I am, because when I was watching it and we were nearly cut to the end, I'm thinking, okay, there's no way that we can end with her looking at the necklace and this is going to continue on, because I'm like, I'm not invested in this mother character. I don't need to see her go down in a later episode. It's just, I need to feel that satisfaction that, okay, all is well in the world. She's off, you know, she can no longer harm Brandon or Taylor's life.
Yeah.
So I think that it was a good way to end it. What did you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. They didn't need to drag it on.
No.
But I think I could already sense that kind of from the beginning. Because normally if this was like a murder or trial show, it would take them forever to get these jurors, and it would take forever to go through the defendant. They would really drag it on. That's why at the end it kind of confused me. I was kind of upset. I was really like, oh no, they're not. Oh no, we're not gonna. Now what? We're gonna go through a whole trial with Taylor, and is Bull gonna represent Taylor, or like what's gonna happen?
Could you imagine?
No, but I like this, and I like that they're gonna continue the storyline with just the inner workings of his company, and they're gonna have these longer storylines that are gonna happen, these arcs that are gonna continue out throughout the season. So.
And it looks like we've got some good characters. Like at least I am excited about Jamie Lee Kirshner's character. Marissa seems cool. The other two, I know that there was the short black-haired girl. Seemed like she was more the millennial techie.
The young tech girl, yeah.
So I think that again we'll see more millennial stuff. Some coy jokes from that as well.
I love that they throw her in a beanie too in the beginning, just to show she doesn't care. She's just here to work. Like it's just I love it.
Marissa, she was from Homeland Security, I think.
Was she?
Yeah. I think that's what was mentioned.
That's how they're able to tap into all the stuff. So it's all illegal. So you can't. That's my question too. Is the stuff they're finding and whatnot? I guess it is just to defend. They don't really need to use it in court.
Sure.
But it's all being like received illegally, I would assume. So are they going to get caught one day?
I don't know how that's possible. I mean, because then they'd all be signing non-disclosure agreements prior to even bringing on in clients, which I can't imagine that was the case.
But I highly doubt that the government's helping his little company.
True.
So I think that
Unless
may be something.
Yeah,
it's a prediction I have.
Yeah, I mean, and who knows what his background is? Like I mentioned before. He could have been a former government employee, had some access to NSA type information. Yeah. Possible. But
they're still getting this information. That's the key part. True. It's that it wasn't just when he was there. It's they're continually hacking and getting in there. So that's, I don't know, it's an issue from what I know.
Big trove of information to have access to.
Goodness, yeah.
So at the final setup in the trial, we get the revelation that he is gay. Brandon he's emotional about it, but he doesn't want to reveal who he had relations with that evening. And they kept on cutting on over to it. They kept on cutting to Taylor's mother and father. Did you see that coming, though?
I didn't see it coming that it was the father.
It was kind of gross.
Until, question though, the guy who came into Taylor's room when Bull wanted to talk with her, was that her father? That was saying, no, you can't talk to her? Or who was that guy? Because that would kind of, I forget, I have to look back now, because that would kind of tie it in why he didn't want Taylor talking to Bull or to anyone. If he just, because maybe Taylor had an idea, or I don't know.
Honestly, I cannot remember.
But that makes sense of why Brandon wanted to continuously hang out there.
Right.
And be a part of her life.
I thought it was weird for the parents to be on the yacht in the first place, but for that revelation to come about that, okay, so I guess he was with the father during that murder, it made sense, at least as far as what the plot was concerned, but still.
But he never outed him.
No, he never did, which, as Liberty pointed out in the final argument, character. And that's what Brandon possessed. He did not want to reveal, even, I don't know if he went against Bull's wishes, but he didn't want to. So that was a stand-up characteristic and showed Brandon's maturity, but it was an interesting revelation.
It was, and I mean, it ties it all together. So
it did.
And the fact that, that the mother didn't know until the end, when you think that she knows everything and she's so invested in it, but she was just completely blindsided too. So I don't know. That was just weird. She's just weird. I don't like her.
Though I did,
I just don't like her. Taylor's mother we're talking about.
It's so god awful. The one thing that I found interesting is that despite all of the setup in the closing arguments, Liberty did not really talk about the father-son relationship, that dynamic, and that's the big thing that they targeted Bess over, is that her son went without his entire life knowing who his father was. And though Brandon had talked about it, I felt that closing argument was important. And more than anything, it was just, as it turned out to be, cover, like almost a cover to where, okay, yes, Brandon doesn't want to reveal the fact that he was having sex with Taylor's dad, but you know, you shouldn't look at that. Look at the fact that he had I guess, and that's what wasn't said, is the fact that he did not have a life where his father supported him. And I thought that was going to be at least said in the closing arguments, and I think that it took away from that. I needed that to tie together. Yeah,
I get that. I get why your need for that as well, but I think it's also, you don't want to bring more attention to the fact that he's a spoiled brat that was raised by a billionaire dad. Because a lot of people just don't have empathy, even if you say, oh, well, he wasn't around.
But it's not that he's a spoiled brat, it's that he's led a life where he didn't have a loving father. It's not that he's a brat.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know. I understand where you're coming from. I also would just want to, just stray away from even the father at all, because people just look at him and just think, well, your son is a murderer. I don't know.
I'll let you win this argument.
I don't know. I win every argument tonight, so... Because you are a sweetheart, and I appreciate you.
I do what I can.
Even though I'm wrong probably as well. We have our opinions. We're good.
Yeah, we're all right. So I think that pretty much did it for the episode. Though the one note that I wanted to talk about is just the simple fact that Taylor's mom was not that all concerned about the fact that Taylor's father had sexual relations with Brandon. She was more incensed by the fact that she might not be able to have a relation, that Taylor might not be able to end up with Brandon. It wasn't the fact that you're going around, doing this to Brandon. What are you doing?
Well, she probably knows he does this with everyone. It's those fake marriages that we see all the time where someone's in it not for love. It's you're in it because you're stuck for so long or money, and she knows he cheats on him. She's like, but why did it have to? Out of everyone in the world, he had to be Taylor's boyfriend or Taylor's love. Like, come on. Like, that's what I think it is.
Yeah, and that's why I think that to support that simple fact, I felt that maybe she would have killed him in the end.
Yeah.
Like, at the end, instead of just looking at the necklace, maybe she's in the middle of trying to, like, stab her husband.
I don't know. I think that she deep down wanted to be like her daughter. She envied her daughter, and she wanted her daughter's life. So she wanted Brandon as well. She wanted that love, and she couldn't have it. She wanted her daughter to have that. That's the love she doesn't have from her own husband.
I like that.
That's it. And I don't really have a mic I can drop, so I'll just drop my pen.
And I am cool with that. I like that sound effect. Thank you, Steve. I like that. So, all right. So, any predictions going forth as we wrap up this show?
Predictions. I just think we're going to see more layers of Bull, and I really do, like we've been saying, I want to see more of the dynamic of his little working family.
I totally agree. Yes, I am excited to see that the inner workings of and how they get their inner information.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
Where is this coming from? That was a good pickup. So tell them again where they can find you on social media.
Yes, you can find me at Nadine DP and the number 3.
And I am Kevin Ellis. You can find me on Twitter at @TheKevinEllis or on Instagram at KevinEllis25. Thank you guys for joining us this week. We didn't have any of you in the chat room, but know that you can always watch us live on Tuesday nights. But if you can't watch us live, find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube throughout the week. We will not see you next week, hopefully the week after. I know she's got a couple of weeks off, but we're going to get to you guys eventually. We're excited about Bull this season, and thank you for joining us.
Stay tuned.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.